Cincinnati's ready for the Big 12. It was time for them.
I am fired up.
It's a blessing to be able to be in this league with y'all, putting on for UC.
Cincinnati, a basketball school.
And there he goes. Touchdown, Bearcats.
Raquama again. Another slam inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GoBeercats podcast. I'm Brandon. He's Darin. Of course, we're a part of the Catskeller Social Club. Maybe part of something else here coming up soon, but we won't talk about that quite yet. The Darin the Bearcats just capped off their first season in the Big 12 with a win over West Virginia. We got to get into that. We've talked recently, but not about basketball, so there's the last home stretch here to get into. And we're on to the Big 12 tournament, man. How we feeling after today?
Great. No, I mean that you couldn't have senior day go better than that. You even got some guys coming in and making some big plays at the end there. Not everybody got the score, but some people just got to contribute. Odie's dunk at the end. Long from long. Kirkwood, getting some free throws in there, perfect on those. Defensive rebound from him as well. And then obviously just our starters as well, just having a great performance, ignoring a run from West Virginia that finished the half to come out and just dominate.
They definitely a senior day to end the season in great fashion here. We're going to get into all of that, plus talk a little bit about the women's team, maybe a baseball, golf update towards the end. There's some things were happening there, but we're going to jump into basketball season here, or the end of it here first. And before we do that, we know it's time for a beer. You're rocking with a Cincy Light, tried and true for you. I love the consistency. I went with this one here. I don't know if we can see here, but there's a cat here, a magical cat. I was hoping the Cats would catch some magic to end their season, not quite the way that it went down. But a Cryo Citra Hopped Pale Ale from Pipeworks. It's hazy. It's only 4.9%. Drinking it out of my Trogs pint glass that our friend Nick gave me at Pint Night on Wednesday at the Delhi Liquor Store. So, of course, that's what all this is brought to you by. So appreciate them. Appreciate the glass from Nick. That beer is really heavy to be just 4.9%. So it's not my first one today, but I might have to take a break after that one. I'm going to have to earn it. Who, buddy? All right. Well, let's get into it, Darin. What's the Bearcats just completely flipped the script from the first time we played West Virginia. Today, beating them 92-56. More than one person texted me during the game and asked how the hell we lost to this team the first time. And I don't know they're big off the top of my head, but it seemed like in the first game he had himself a career day, and today he was a non-factor. And it kind of sort of flipped the script there in the paint with the lob actually working today with Aziz and Danny and Day-Day and whoever else we wanted to lob the ball up to. It seems like we were able to go up and get it and throw it down today. So what else stood out to you about the game? We talked about the walk-ons and the seniors, getting some good minutes there at the end. But before we kind of pulled away, what were you noticing?
Obviously Raquan Battle was a big issue the first game. Didn't put up a lot of points, put up enough points last game, and just was all around just a stellar player. Farrakhan remained to be deadly, but we did a lot in spite of him today. Kept him limited to 12 points. He only had one assist, so looks like they attempted to run the offense through him, and once we kind of figured that out, it was lights out at that point because he was making some threes, even contested. I think once we clamped down on him a little bit more, that faucet stopped and he went cold. Other than that, nothing too crazy.
It was it's kind of interesting to see here looking down through the box score. I mean, the Cats got off to a very slow start. I think we had 2 points for the first like 3.5 minutes of the game. Luckily West Virginia was about the same there, and I was not impressed again with the way that we've started this game. And that's been like the story of the season almost, with slow starts to the games. Sometimes it burns us. Sometimes you think we have control of the game, like the Oklahoma game where they went out to like a 15, 16 point lead, and then in what seemed like a blink of an eye, they were down one. But it was another slow start for the Cats, and then some things sort of finally clicked. I thought when the West Virginia coach got a technical, and then right, like almost back to back, Kerr or Kerr, whatever his name is, who's also has a very punchable face. We've talked about those faces before on the show here. He got a technical for a hook and hold on Aziz, and that sort of like flipped the momentum of the game. And I know that West Virginia put it together like a 7-0 run to end that half, but right there in the middle of the half, the Bearcats dominated enough to where they were able to push off that 7-point run to close out the first half.
Yeah, we end up ultimately having our largest lead of the season. After that technical. I mean, not directly after, but that really led into it. Surprisingly, 15 points was our largest lead of the season, and obviously that just kind of ticked up from there as we started to roll. But when we hit that threshold, I think we started to feel ourselves a little bit in the best way. I think the opposite happened last game with them, is we were feeling ourselves in the worst way, and thought we had that wrapped up, and we paid for it. So, I actually stepped out during the technical. I kind of came back and I saw them shooting free throws alone. I was like, oh, someone got teed up. But at that point, I could even tell the momentum just shifted entirely. And we just broke their spirit at that point.
It was wild to me because the West Virginia's coach, I don't know his name. I don't know if he'll be the coach there next year, so I'm not going to learn it. But he's complaining and he's screaming at the ref for them not calling a foul on us. And they had literally not called one foul in West Virginia the entire first half yet. We're like 13 minutes in, and West Virginia had not committed the foul. Like, that's pretty bizarre. So the fact that he got that worked up on the call there, when they clearly had the advantage, was pretty wild to me. Kind of maybe didn't know what was happening, or know that foul call discrepancy at the time or whatever. But I don't know. I'm glad he said what he said, and we got the opportunity to knock some down at the free throw line there. Lukosius shot those penalty shots for UC. And in that first, he ends up 3 for 10 from 3, which 30%. That's okay. It's not 40 or and up would be crazy.
Yeah.
But he ends up 3 for 10. But in the first half there, like he had a heat check where he hit 2 in a row coming off that screen, which he's gotten so good at. Like, that's a really hard shot to do. Like, to curl around, to catch within motion, with the have that power in your legs to push the ball that from that far, even it's a tough shot. And he hit 2 of them back to back, and on the third one I was like, if he hits this, it's going to be the CMOS game, and he might not miss again. He finished with 12, but he's definitely sort of powered us through there in the first half until we ran away with it.
Yeah, it's amazing, even going 3 for 10, how much that helps if it all hits at the right time. 9 points in a run is just good enough to get the energy going. Which is why, we always feel like someone's going off for 3 against us, even though it could be that guy who goes, 5 for 12 or something like that. It's just a matter of when it happens. And for CMOS, it happened at the right time. They were talking up his car accident. As a pedestrian.
Oh, yeah, that's friend of the show, friend of the
Yeah.
podcast, Mark Adams. There, I love Mark.
Mhm.
He's I mean, I'm sure he's not everyone's favorite flavor of broadcaster, but he brings the energy, and he's always got some sort of analogy or metaphor.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's him talking about how deadly that crosswalk is there on campus. Yeah, but go on. He's talking about how Lukosius did more damage to the car than he had.
Yeah. He said cars beware. I mean, I guess defenders beware if he's on a heater like that. He's definitely come alive as a weapon down the stretch. He's obviously as a junior. You hope that he can develop some consistency to that 3-point shot next year. Obviously, that's a discussion for later. But he seems like he's definitely awakened a little bit, or woken a little bit down the stretch of the season. Enough that at least that we have a play for him that works with that screen. I think if he can, just get that radar in his eye and like shoot it from anywhere, sky's the limit, and we can really, really lean on him next year.
Yeah, I feel like it's and like when we gift wrap and put a bow on the season after the tournament, we'll talk about this, but like if we can get a guy who is a more of a like a Landers Nolly type of go-to, like go get a bucket, can create on his own, and you can like take a little bit of pressure off CMOS to just stand on the outside and kind of be the guy that we thought CJ Frederick was going to be this year. Switch roles a little bit, so he doesn't have to dribble. I wouldn't say like dribbling and creating on his own is his strong suit. Like, and we've kind of figured that out down the stretch. Catch and shoot coming off a screen or whatever. If we can give him more of those opportunities next year, I think he'll take a giant step forward because when he's stroking it like that, there's not much you can do. Dan Skilling's finished with 17 points today, and I have no idea how. Maybe the quietest 17 points I've seen in years. Like I wouldn't have guessed that he was the leading scorer today by any stretch.
Yeah, I mean you had everybody going off this game once things just start rolling. Even Jizzle hitting some just fantastic, just his step back, long shots are just you don't expect a freshman to hit him like that. He just when it leaves his hands, it looks so reckless, and it just finds a way in. So like a little bit of shine for everybody. I mean, Aziz, even had 9 points, obviously mostly in the paint here. Just everybody got a chance to shine. Newman, obviously, being the leader we needed him to be. Day having himself a day. Just being a threat.
Speaking of Day, let's do something here. I don't even know if we're allowed to do this, but let's watch this dunk. Because this was, I mean, Sports Center top 10 done a nut. Like this is, oh my god, the one-handed, just like he knows it. Like I don't know when, like,
and it's not the guy you always expect to get up like that.
Not at all. Just what a dunk.
Pure athleticism. And not just him. Reynolds for sure. I mean, third leading scorer on the day. Having himself a senior day. He's really seemed to emerge. Off the bench the past few games, and that's perfect timing when you're looking to make a run and make some noise in your conference tournament. He had sort of a quiet first half of the year. But I think he's, luckily found his rhythm and his role late in the season here.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, you're talking Reynolds, right?
Jamil Reynolds, yeah.
Yeah, he's 6 for 6 on the day, and he hit the 3.
Mm-hmm.
He's 7 for 7 on the day, 13 points. I'll take that from Jamil Reynolds every day of the week.
Yep, solid defense, just a rebounding machine today. second, I mean, obviously, to Aziz today on that. I mean, even Jizzle on the offensive glass, 3 rebounds off of him, looking great. Just everybody just all around playing ball, playing the team sport as it should be played. And then even just obviously throwing in our senior walk-ons on that. Ran the offense and defense,
held it
exactly
down
as it should.
Yeah. So stats, like the stat of the game for me, like, I mean, and there's a lot we could point out to, but if you go to Day and Jizzle,
Yes.
they combined for 0 turnovers.
Yes.
That's huge. Holy hell, that's huge.
Yeah.
That takes the cake for me. The team finishes with 9 on the day. I mean, there's been games where we had 9 in the first 10 minutes. So that I'll take that especially as well. Give me Jamil with 13 and Day and Jizzle with 0 turnovers. That's going to be a good day.
Well, that's what we had a majority of those turnovers during West Virginia's run to end the half there. So, like, we clearly cleaned that up and said, this is not how it's going to happen. We're not going to let them keep rolling on this. We're not going to keep turning the ball over. And just played a great game after that.
Mm-hmm.
Shut it down. Made better choices with the ball. And, of course, obviously, when you slowly break a team's will, their defending goes down too. But to clean it up and get to that point, you're proud. I mean, for me, hitting 75% on the free throws today. We had trouble with that this year.
Yeah, yes, we have.
Where that could have been the game for us a lot of times. Great. Love it. I mean, we didn't go to the line too much. I mean, obviously, we had the technicals we ate off of. But 12 out of 16, I'll take it all day. Not a stat you can complain about. Surprisingly, our threes, as much as it seemed like they were raining down. Again, timing, only 26% or 29% on those. So actually finishing under our average, I believe, on that.
Yeah, that is interesting. I thought throughout the game, I think 27 3-pointers is like borderline too much for this team. I think, we should never. I don't think we should approach 30, in my opinion. But it seemed like we instead of putting them away or trying to get, we would just like settle for an easy jump shot 3-pointer.
Yeah.
And we have the tendency to do that. We talked about that a lot, but that was definitely there throughout the game. We'll just chuck it up instead of running something or exerting too much energy getting to the rim. We'll just throw it up and maybe it'll go in. Obviously, more times than not, it didn't. But I definitely noticed that was against a different team. I would have been very frustrated for sure. But it worked out okay today, just because we were able to manage the game better in other ways, like turnovers and be more efficient in the paint than we have been in the past. No Vic today. No CJ Frederick. We both out with an injury. We have Kenyon Martin sitting courtside. Corey Blunt is there. The Hall of Famer himself.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Huggins was there. So he was there and in Bearcats gear, I should point out. Not West Virginia polo or
so did he do one for each of us, basically? One for his 2 kids?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So definitely had the red carpet out for some people today that were there. For like, if we take a step back for a second there, and I honestly, we've talked baseball, we've talked golf, and I don't remember the last game that we actually kind of broke down on the show here. But I know it's been too long, and something that we talked about the last time we did play basketball or talk basketball was like, can the Bearcats get to 20 wins? We were talking about that magic number.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we did not. And And once that was kind of apparent that wasn't going to happen with like the Oklahoma State loss was brutal for us. And then, we lose 3 in a row to Oak State, TCU, and then Houston. And it felt like the wheels could fall off and the whole season just like we might not have won another game the entire season. Like that would have been like worst case scenario. The program is not where we need it to be. Coach Miller's lost the team, and we're in trouble for the foreseeable future. 2 wins, a win over Kansas State, and the win today over West Virginia alleviated that. A game that you should have won in Oklahoma, dominated the first half, goes to overtime, lose by 3. I only watched the overtime period of that game, but we're online a lot with the Discord or Twitter or wherever. How are Bearcats fans supposed to react to the last 6 games of the season where we only pull out 2 wins and are without a Big 12 tournament championship, not going to the big dance?
Frustration. Maybe I don't know if you. I guess it depends on which one's worse for you: frustration versus disappointment. Okay. I think just in this case, disappointment at various times and throughout the season. But frustration and realizing that the points were there all over the season. Specifically looking at Oklahoma, that's just one of those games where, obviously they turned the ball over more than us, but we still had 12 on the day. And then they also just got hot from 3. We out rebounded them. We're picking our shots a little bit better, but just not enough. Just dumb mistakes down the stretch, and really, let's just look back at that whole stretch there. I guess, if you remember what I said coming into the back end of that after UCF. We're going to need to be better than the unranked teams left on the schedule. And we just simply weren't. The Oklahoma State was that first test, lost a close one again by 4. TCU just showed out, but that's one of those games you'd hope you'd at least match up with okay. They just proved to be a better team. And they look to get to 20 by beating UCF today, hopefully. Beat Kansas State, and we beat West Virginia. If that win didn't come from TCU, then you'd hope you get upset from one of the ranked teams that you played left in your schedule. Houston would have been a long shot, and it was. They just kind of dominated us. And then Oklahoma was unranked by the time we got to them, but we lost by 3 when we had the game, in sights. Again, that's 2 games right there, just the whole state of Oklahoma. Not even that Oklahoma State's improved after facing us. They haven't. They have really gotten worse. So
they got hot for like a second and then flamed out real quick.
They were literally hot off the BYU game and then just 4 straight L's. Those are ones you don't want to lose. And it's, again, we know this. It's tough to win on the road, so you need to win at home.
Okay, so people. Okay, if you let's let me not get ahead of myself here. We have 8 losses.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 losses by 5 points or less in the Big 12. All right. To me, and I'm not saying Wes Miller has no blame, but to me, that is not a coaching issue, I'll say. There are questions that I have for Coach Miller at times. Sure, 100%. I think that's fair. That's fair for any coach, probably. But I think it's more of a missing piece on the roster than a coaching issue. When you are in the best conference in the country and you have 8 games where you've lost by 5 points or less, I think we need a go-to scorer, and we other than Millie, we need someone that can score with their back to the basket because as good of a dunker and shot blocker as that Aziz is, he is terrible with his back to the basket. He's not an offensive threat in that way. If I'm Coach Miller, who can recruit very well, high level recruiter, I think we'll all give him that. I think that in the portal this offseason, those are my 2 main focuses. Someone that can go get you a bucket whenever, and another big that has a more of an offensive plus side to their game.
Yeah.
So like I'm not ready to fire Wes Miller because we've lost 8 games by 5 points or less in the Big 12. Our first year in the Big 12, after playing if you put this team in the American, we might not lose a game.
Yeah.
Like we might have won 30 games this year.
Yeah.
So I just don't. I'm not ready to go, get my torches and pitchforks and hunt down Wes Miller wherever he's living on the east side and kick him out of town. So I'm just not ready to do that yet. I think if we can get some different pieces here, we're going to take those single digit losses and flip those around next year.
It's funny, honestly. Like, look how similar it is to our football season. Obviously the success is closer in basketball, where we could have landed with a few more, just better moments. But close losses to teams you matched up well against, and then a loss to a rival in the season. Start early in the season after you start out hot. That's just getting eaten alive in the Big 12 almost. Well, for football, way more getting eaten alive in the Big 12. But just realizing that there's pieces missing still that you need. And someone else said, it's like, oh, we just don't know how to win. And I was like, I don't know if that's necessarily true because there's been games we were, definitely not supposed to have won this year that we've pulled it out.
Yeah. I mean, beating Texas Tech was huge. Beating BYU was huge. I mean, there's some of the games that we pulled off was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the disappointment is looking back and realizing your what ifs. But again, it's kind of like the woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's over with. It happened. But the fact that you needed at least 20, with how close you've battled some of these teams, because people have taken notice.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the pundits and writers know how tough we played our conference schedule and how we've hung in on those. A few more wins here, 2 at least, and you're looking at least like a strong bubble team.
Yeah.
Depending on how the rest of the field shakes out. But I mean, and at this point, just to review, unfortunately, we also needed Kansas State to lose today. They finished 18-13.
The next thing I want to bring
the 10 seed, or no, the 11 seed, I believe.
Which means we're back against West Virginia Tuesday, right?
Yeah, we're back against West Virginia. Yeah, so they get the 10 seed, which is, unfortunately, that's the Big 12, baby. It's hard to win on the road, even when you're a number 8 ranked team as Iowa State. So we don't get a bye. We play West Virginia again. Let me ask you this. They were talking about how like this is a good thing that happened to West Virginia to get blown out, and they got their manhood questioned. They're not going to let this happen again. Where does that stack up against us of course, having a revenge game today, not wanting to get blown or not losing to a team that you should have beat. Do we still carry that fire next time? Like which thing outweighs the other?
Yeah, I mean, I like the confidence booster heading into the tournament. I mean, you always take confidence over anything, and showing, like, even if it's not as easy on Tuesday as it was today, a 40-point loss or 40-point win, however you want to look at it here, is, I mean, to flip that in a couple of days, that's something hard to do. So, like, even if it's not as easy, and it's 8-point win, 10-point win on Tuesday, which I expect to go in and win that game. West Virginia showed us that they are not. We made them look really good the first time that we played them in Morgantown. So, I'll take the confidence over anything, and I think gives us a little bit of momentum. It could be, out of all the teams that we could possibly play, I mean, I don't know how it would have shook out. Like, if we got the bye, I'm going to assume that Houston beats Kansas today in Houston. Yeah. Like, even though you get the bye, like, who do you want to play the second round?
Right.
Like, I mean, yeah, it's another game. And it's the Big 12. It doesn't. I mean, I think we match up better against some teams than others, but I'm not trying to play, Kansas or TCU. I think the possibility could have been like us playing TCU in the second round or something, and that didn't sound very fun to me after they just dominated us the last time. So, you win today, you win again Tuesday, and then all of a sudden you feel like you got a hold of something. So who knows what happens that next game, whether it's Kansas or TCU or however it shakes out. We got some meaningful games being played until 9:00 today. So definitely have to keep an eye on that bracket to see how things actually shake out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and with that, the Bearcats are finishing, fourth from the bottom, guaranteed in the Big 12 in the regular season. How would you grade our first season in the Big 12? And we'll talk a little bit more about this, after, March and, tournament time. But at a glance,
that's so hard.
Yeah.
I know the guys over at Viva did this and put out a poll and sort of broke it down by different categories, and it's like what were your expectations? My expectations were our record would not be as good as it was in the American, but we would be a better team. At the same time, though, I wanted to get to the tournament year 3. Yeah. And it was right there in our grasp, right there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to go the Kobe mentality and say, we didn't make it to the tournament, so the season's a failure. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I'd probably give us
table, so.
right. I mean, I'd give us I'd probably right now. I'm feeling good after the win here today. I'd probably give us a C for the first year in the Big 12 because it was fun. Like, if we're grading fun, it's a 100%.
Yeah.
If we're grading it by years taken off my life, it's an F because I'm sure I lost many years this season. But I'm probably at a C just for just to balance it all out. Our record doesn't reflect that. It's obviously worse than that. But I'll take a C right now. Where are you at with the same question?
Probably a little bit more optimistic. Probably like a B-.
Okay.
We came out, we competed, we didn't look terrible, except for even against the top teams, we never got blown out. I think honestly, if I had to say our worst loss, Dayton, TCU, and against Houston, Part 2. Those are probably our worst losses throughout the season. There's games I wish we had back for sure.
Oh yeah.
And you could pick any number of Xavier for sure, right? Baylor, Texas the first time, I mean, we were even in with Kansas at Kansas. Oklahoma either time. In it again, West Virginia. If you don't, just
I will continue to. I will continue to die on the hill that the Crosstown Shootout should be played in January.
When teams are in their best form.
Yeah. I mean, does that 100% benefit us usually? Yeah, but is this a Xavier podcast? No, I want the Bearcats to get the season.
Theoretically, it benefit either team. It should benefit both teams. Like both teams should be in their.
Yeah, you would think that. Some people are dead set on having it in December for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm team January for the
college basketball's also changed schedule wise. So
yeah,
it's rare. Not rare, but not too many conferences let you just play, a game that breaks up the schedule like that.
Why? Who was it? I thought Clemson was playing like a really weird team today, but I might have been looking at the wrong. Not basketball. That's neither here nor there. I don't know why I said that.
No, there's a few. There's a few teams that have played some weird schedules.
Yeah,
it just doesn't happen as much anymore. We moved away from that too. Again, I mean, we take your pick, and obviously by that logic, you can say, well, we should have won all of these, games. Like, yeah, a perfect world, but you're going to drop games regardless. No matter, even if you're the best team in the country, you're going to drop something at some point due to just playing terribly.
If I had to pick one game to take back. I don't even I would not put the shootout in there because for our resume that Xavier has sucked down the stretch. That's not going to do anything. I mean, that Texas loss stings really bad.
Yes.
Or or maybe even Baylor at Baylor. I would take either if I could have either one of those games back. I mean, that would be before the shootout for sure.
Texas or one of Oklahoma's, honestly.
The most recent Oklahoma.
I'd say early season Oklahoma. Early season Oklahoma and Texas.
No, yeah,
that was been ranked at that point, and
they were 15. Yeah, either any of those three games could have been huge. What if sort of scenario for this team right now? We were talking a little bit before about the Big 12 tournament before we got distracted here, and I'm kind of like wondering what these tournaments look like going forward with all of the alignment and all the consolidation, if you will. Like are conference tournaments about to be like 7 days long, like 10 days long? Like it's going to be a weird dynamic moving forward. I mean, this year with the Big 12 with the two holdovers, it's a little different. But then you got 4 more teams coming in next year. Just a little random thought I'm sure many people have had that conference tournaments are going to have to change a little bit here. And I would hate for not every team in a conference to not make the conference tournament. That just seems something about that just doesn't seem right. But that might be like what we're heading towards as college basketball and college sports are changing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right now, on another side note, right now Houston is kicking the shit out of Kansas 26-9.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I knew as soon as I saw the score of the Iowa State game and I'd put them in my 3-game parlay for the day. I knew I was like, well, they're not coming back.
Yeah,
shouldn't have put them in the parlay. We have anything else on the men's side of basketball? We got another game Tuesday night against West Virginia. It looks like as the Big 12 tournament starts. We move on, talk a little bit about the women's team whose season came to an end last night to the hands of West Virginia. If you want to move on,
let's do it.
There a little bit. The kind of surprising fashion, I guess, the Bearcats won their first game, the Lady Bearcats in the Big 12 tournament, beating UCF in another like classic where they were down big and caught fire, and they were able to pull that off in a close game before running into West Virginia, who beat us again, unfortunately. And let's see, where do they finish the season now? Darin, do you have that pulled up already?
I do not. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I mean, no, just while I pull this up, I'd say performed above expectations this year. It in a season where you have a coach taking over, I mean, we're under 500 at 14-17. We played some tough games this year. West Virginia, also just a pretty solid team overall this year. So they were going to draw us as the second worst in the conference in the women's bracket at some point after beating UCF. So, and we play the tournaments weird too. I think if I understand, you're paired up a little differently in the women's bracket because UCF was bottom of the barrel, and so you're kind of playing your way up. If I understand correctly, put some really tough games on the schedule. I thought, that Toledo game early in the season really showed the fight that we could have, and usually when a lot of women's teams get down, especially if they don't have the talent, they tend to not come back. We've had a few games like that this year where I know UCF was up on us actually the last game. Texas Tech, we whooped up on them. It's just about getting talent in here. And once we get that, the sister is just going to get stronger. That's just a matter of that. Again, it's a good conference too. On the women's side, it's the Big Ten is probably the best currently. Just with Kate Clark really overall just kind of raising the whole level of that conference. But the Big 12 for women is nothing to sneeze at. And even I'd say the front half of our season was way better. Big 12 conference play was always going to be a slog. And you wondered how we'd match up against the bottom of the conference. In this case, just beat up on UCF all three games, lost to Houston, and then lost to BYU as the new kids on the block this year. Other than that, I'm not too upset at it. It kind of just is what it is. I expect us to get better. I expect us to bring in some top talent. I mean, I won't say top talent, but bring in better talent. And as she starts to mold and teach them to play her style of ball, we'll be all right.
For sure. Finishing 14-17. You talking about bringing in new talent. Chloe Mann, who just won a state championship, definitely will be a key piece to that going forward. So, I like what I see. Good building blocks there for competition in a very good conference, like you said. So, definitely we'll keep our eyes on seeing how the transfer portal works out, because Coach Merriweather, she brought in a lot of players from the portal this offseason. So it'll be something to keep an eye on going forward for sure with the women's team. So, I'd probably be a little bit more. Expectations were different, obviously, for first year, but overall I'd probably give them a B if we're talking about grades on the season. Beat Kentucky, beat Xavier, beat Toledo. Like you said, beat UCF 3 times. So those are some pretty fun games. I'd go, and some of the players are really fun to watch too. So I'm probably going B for the season there on, just overall expectations, games, fun, just anything to break it down. I think that's pretty safe.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, fun team to watch this year. Different heroes in some of those close games. It was
Oh, yeah.
never, it wasn't always, I won't say never, it wasn't always your go-to best player. Different ladies just stepped up at different times. And to see that confidence build, I'm excited for the future. I think the culture is right. Usually, you wonder how long that culture takes to set in. We have a new coach. If it takes, will it take? So a little bit ahead of schedule. I think that's something to really build off of. Hopefully that the tournament loss leaves a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth, and they want to go back to the gym and get stronger and get faster, get better. And I believe we will. I believe Meriwether has, that mentality and has instilled that in their players. Thank you to the seniors, who helped through this transition. They'll be missed. Got a 1,000-point score on that. So just thank you.
What as we move along here, we sort of wrapped up basketball for the men's and the women's team here. What do you got for us on the side of baseball updates? I feel as though the Discord was popping off about something happening here recently.
Yeah. So we start Big 12 play. We should be playing in another hour, a little bit over another hour against Kansas State. We lost them last night to start the series 0-4. I know we had wanted to get somebody on to talk about Big 12 baseball, just to prep for that. But maybe we can do that before the regular Kansas game later this week or later next week. We did come back against Akron. They start off pretty hot against us. But that was it. That was yeah. I think they were. I would say there was a run taken away from one of the stats I saw, but they were up 2-0 on us at one point, and then I guess they took one of the runs away. So once we hit the bottom of the second, we just kind of turned it on and ran with it. 19-8 on that, and then we also just put the hurt on Northern Illinois before that in that series, winning that series 3-1, and started out 13-15, 6-5, a real close one, 7 innings for that because they had a doubleheader, and then lost 4-6 in the back half of that last Saturday, but then finished off on Sunday 14-1, also 7 innings for that one, because we essentially mercy ruled them. I guess there's a 14-run rule apparently. I have to look back into that because we definitely get 14 ruled against Coastal Carolina, so I'll have to actually look and see what the rule is on that, or how that comes into action. But yeah, no, I mean, it's been fun to watch so far. We can't always catch every single game. Sometimes things are on Flow Sports. Sometimes they're on Big 12 now. It just really depends. I think most of our games for the rest of the year will be televised, with the exception of Miami and St. Louis. But I think everything else will have some kind of television behind it outside of that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how we do in Big 12 play here. Just started, like I said, last night. Hopefully we can come back today and win the series 2-1.
Starts today, and then they're in Manhattan for this one,
Yep.
For that series. So they're next back home, right? Western Illinois on 12th and 13th. They will be back here at UC. Actually, they got a homestand for a while, actually, because they're home against Western Illinois and then Kansas, and then they take a short little trip to Oxford for a game as well. So in the area here for a nice little homestand in mid-March. So
yeah, that Kansas game is extremely watchable. You have it at 5 p.m. First pitch for that on Friday. So that should be a great time for people who can make it out. Hopefully the weather holds. I don't think we have too much going on around the city. Baseball doesn't start for this pro baseball doesn't start for another 2 weeks technically. after that. So you don't have to compete against the Reds. And then I think FC Cincinnati doesn't play till that Sunday. So,
Nice.
well, they also have a Thursday game in Monterey. So there's nothing to compete against. They're going to be away all weekend. So why not catch a game? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, take a pick.
Hell yeah.
Might check that out myself.
In terms of golf, that's in full swing as well. We talked to Coach on our last episode, our first head coach here on the show, which was awesome to have. We saw the Bearcats team in South Carolina there finish 10th in that event that we sort of previewed. But with Ryan Ford kind of being the the keystone of the group, he tied for second. In the 3 rounds, he shot a 67, a 68, and a 70 for 205 total, which is pretty impressive, I have to say. So keep an eye out on him, as see if he can carry that momentum. And Coach Martin was talking about all the guys really, but especially the work that Ford has put in, and sort of the momentum that he has going forward. And then on Monday, they are at the Johnny O, the Seaside course in Sea Island, Georgia, which looks like an extremely hard course as I'm looking at sort of the preview that the men's golf Twitter team put out. Seems like a lot of sand and a lot of water hazards there. If I'm playing that course, I would probably need a lot of golf balls.
Yeah,
so,
probably 2 packs, 2 24 packs.
yeah. Definitely a trip to Costco before going to that one for sure. So that's fun to watch. I know we both try to keep the Discord and Twitter updated on either of those sports. So definitely have our work cut out for us here in the next week or so. So we will have to talk again. Next time we talk, we'll either be talking about the Bearcats winning the Big 12 tournament championship or losing somewhere before the end of it. So we'll talk all about that when it happens here. Hopefully the Bearcats can catch fire. Last thing I'll ask you, Darin, can the Bearcats make the tournament without winning the Big 12 championship? Is there a run that they can go on and fall short of the tournament championship to make it, or is it hardware or bust for March?
I mean, for sure it's hardware. Well, I don't think for sure. At the very least, depending on how generous they want to be, a solid 3-game run, and how they look when they exit.
Okay.
That's being generous, though. Realistically, either a very close loss in the finals or winning the finals.
And so, as I'll take it. That's why I asked you. I don't know either way. But as the news has become official, it is West Virginia at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. So hit the happy hours early and see if we can't beat West Virginia for the second time in about 4 days or whatever it may be. So we'll see.
It's going to be a tough challenge, yeah.
Always tough. So who knows? Who knows what's about to happen? It's March, so anything could happen. That's what we got to PMA, Darin. Positive mental attitude.
Fair.
Let's keep it. I have nothing else. If you have nothing else, good sir.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, I haven't even finished my beer. I was talking so much. So cheers and go Bearcats.
Cheers. Go Bearcats.